we are going to be taking questions like always. So if you guys want to start posting them in the comments now, feel free to do so. Paul, my lovely assistant, how are you, Paul?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
Yay.
So Paul's going to be taking your questions, and he would appreciate if you can include a name if you're referring to someone specific, living or deceased, including pets. And if you are asking about a job or something like that, include the name of the company. Abbreviate if you have to, but it does save me a lot of time so that I can get to your neighbors. All right. Is there anything you want to add to that, Paul?
No, that's it. Let us start with Denise.
Okay.
This was her first time today, so welcome, Denise.
Welcome.
And she's asking, will my legal case be settled soon?
Denise?
Denise.
Feels like it will. There's going to be a change. There's talk of 3 to 4. So my feeling here is that we could be looking at 3 to 4 weeks out at some type of a transition with it. And I wouldn't rule out that this is a total of, 3 to 6 months that we're looking at. Almost like a reconfiguring. It's almost like paperwork went out, paperwork comes back. There's something else that needs to be addressed within it, or something was left unanswered. There's an open area. They're like, we have to fill this in, something. Now, there is also talk at the 6 week out, where we're looking at a very different circumstance than where it is now. That to me does feel like movement. And at that point, there's some talk of a judge. So if we were finding that we were nowhere in the ballpark of getting to an actual judge's decision, it starts to present itself around that time. Okay, this could stretch out because technically this is a free will question, meaning there are too many people involved. They all have free will. Every human being does. So there are too many hands in the pot to give a 100% guarantee on timeline. But I would say anywhere from 3 to 6 months, possibly as far out as the 9th month. And the 10th month, there being paperwork and official completion where you would feel like it's done. There's nothing else to do, even if there's a trickle effect. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Charisse had sent in a slew of awesome emojis.
I can see them from here. Blind as I am.
Yes, it's all sorts of.
Thank you.
They're good and bad.
Okay. So, I don't know what that means.
I don't
Thank
either.
you. I'll take the good one.
There's an angel one in there, so that's a plus. Okay, so we have one from Kristen.
Okay.
She said she would like to know if her mom, Sherry, has any messages or advice for her.
Look at what was just written.
Oh, wow.
So before you ask that, I literally have Sherry written on the paper, and I crossed it out because I was like, I don't know where this is coming from. I wasn't sure.
Well, there
okay,
you go.
very good. So Kristen, yes, your mom is here. What was the question? Just what does she want to say?
Any messages
She's
or
talking about
advice?
a little bit of work change, work or money change. She says that there could be a circumstance going on where you're feeling like maybe you need to let go of an old idea or an old position, something like that. I wouldn't rule out that you're feeling something similar also in love or with a relationship that's important to you. I think that right now what's important is to let go of the old and not be afraid of the future and where you're headed, because right now it does feel as though you're going through some fairly significant transition. Okay, so just trust and try not to hold too tight. Okay? She's helping you every step along the way. I feel like you have a really bright future in front of you here, and that's not like a generic thing. A lot of people don't, okay? A lot of people don't because they won't let go. A lot of people don't because they don't want to work for it. You truly seem to want to do both, and if you do that, it's going to be very bright, and your independence and prosperity is going to be really through the roof here, okay? And it feels to me really like possibly as soon as 4 weeks out from now, but I was feeling like the next 4 to 6 months are going to bring a lot of interesting changes for you that help you to feel more like you. If you've been feeling like you're losing parts of who you are, or you're losing a sense of who you are, it's going to be returning because of this. She loves you very much.
It's awesome. All right. Martha Would like to know if her partner Mariano has a mental problem that he doesn't want to address, and will I continue with this relationship that's been going on for 24 years?
Martha wants to know about, how is his name?
Mariano?
Mariano?
Yes.
Mariano. Does he have a mental health problem?
Yeah.
Okay, let me take a look at what's going on here. I would say so. I would say that this person has a lot of trouble staying stable, stabilizing the mood, stabilizing the choices, the character. When I see someone go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth like that, not necessarily up and down, like highs and lows, but back and forth, that can sometimes also look a lot like a personality disorder, or like someone who has damage done to them from past abuse or neglect. We may be able to look as far back as the parents with him and see that there are some things that are now especially, but it was always there later in life, triggering him to go back and forth. So he could seem stable and then all of a sudden very angry, irritable, detached, walled off. It's sort of like a don't come at me, and then once sort of pulling back, there could also be like a despondency, sort of a melancholy, depression. I can't prescribe or diagnose, but yeah, there's something there. Ultimately, my feeling with you staying in this relationship has to do, well, that's up to you. You have free will. So I can't say what you guys are going to decide to do. You have the option to stay. So it would be up to your free will if you left. But I do feel that you've outgrown this person. And I feel that this person has had plenty of opportunity to do self-care, self-growth, and development, and hasn't. So now you're looking at two people with different growth mentalities. And that's a bit of an issue.
Okay, well said. Charisse is asking, how do I heal my relationship with my 12-year-old son when there's so much uncertainty and instability between us? And he's 12, and his initials are MD.
Oh, I heard AJ too, so I don't know who that is coming through for her, but what is it, MD?
MD.
MD, oh, okay. Well, over here, Spirits on Fire today, they drew a picture of a sun, and they literally wrote the word sun, and this was supposed to be for the next person's question. So that's already here. Yes. So what Spirit's talking about here is the sun coming out. The sun coming out can represent that there was some type of a storm, in this case, is stormy, rocky relationship, and that there's going to be a circumstance. And this circumstance is really an opportunity where the universe is presenting room for your son to look at you as someone who can offer some kind of solution, to see you as someone who offers some type of support that's very much needed, and to understand in a humbling way that maybe he doesn't have all the answers. And, I get it. I have 3, and they're teenagers and in their 20s, and there is a sense there for a very long time that I have all the answers and you don't know anything, and you're the one that's wrong. And so for him to be humbled like that makes me think that this circumstance could be somewhat uncomfortable. It might be a social situation, or it might be something that he witnesses in society or something like that, okay? Regardless, it's good for your bond, and I do feel him having a new appreciation for you. I think that you need to say less. I think that you talk at him too much. And I think that you don't, less is more. And I think that you don't sort of understand that he's shut you off. It's almost like a volume, and it's down. So be selective with what you share, okay? And understand also that you have a father figure coming through here who says it's not about quantity, it's about quality time. Okay, so anytime that you guys spend together, even if it's 5 minutes in the car where there was meaningful dialogue, is more valuable than 3 hours watching a TV show or, something like that. Watch for value, because it is there, okay? Don't want more, appreciate what's there, attitude of gratitude. It's gonna improve, yeah.
Okay. Cherie said, okay, you popped me in the mouth. And the emojis.
Yeah,
so,
you gotta know when to.
yeah. There's the angel
Too
one,
much.
thumbs up, hot eyes. So that's a very big thank you.
Awesome. You're
Yeah.
welcome.
And okay, so next up.
I just want to say this to you too. You know, I see a dynamic here where we have sort of an introverted empathic person, and then we have an extroverted empathic person. You did, hand this down to your son, but sometimes when you're dealing with people that are more introverted or they're highly empathic, it can actually be painful to have so much energy coming at them from another person, and you don't want to be the cause of that. You're not trying to. You're not spreading negativity. You're not trying to do that, but it is. It can have an adverse reaction. So just, here's how I always say it, know your audience and know how much to give and when to pull back. Yeah, that's for everybody. I'm just saying that.
Very good. Lee is wondering if he or she will ever own their own home.
Will I ever own my own home?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think this is hard to do for you. I feel that there's been some kind of frustrating setback over the course of the last, maybe as much as 5 years. I see 5, and I see a going forward, going back, going forward, going back. A feeling of almost like breaking down in a self-defeatist way, where I feel like I'm tired. That's it. I'm gonna take a nap right here, or depressive, or like, this isn't meant to happen, or I have bad luck. And I don't feel that, I can't say it's not real because you're experiencing it, but I don't see in the universal scheme of things that that's actually going to be an obstacle from attaining the home unless you allow it to be. So I'm hearing 3, and that felt to me like 3 years. And the way it looks to me is like there could be some type of an inheritance. I'm not saying you're getting a home, whether someone's literally handing you a home, but there could be an inheritance leading up to it that helps you to get it. There could also be a situation where somebody is giving it to you before it even makes it to market, or you're getting first dibs, or you're getting reduction on price because there's some type of circumstance with this. And I feel like regardless of how this ends up all playing out, you could be looking at yourself being settled in about 3 years. Happily, very happily. And if you want land, I feel almost like I'm looking out at my bit of land here, and I'm feeling like really, really full of peace and joy. So, yes.
Very good.
Don't lose sight of it.
We have another first timer here, Engraved Skaz, who is asking, which of my chakras are blocked or in need of healing?
Engraved Scars. Okay, welcome. What is blocked?
Yeah, which of her chakras?
What's blocked? Well, I guess if I were to look at your chakras, I'd be talking through this area. So these 2, I do feel like I really want to go back to the mental state, though. So if we were to talk about your thoughts, and we were to talk about your communication with others, and we were to talk about your sometimes unwillingness to speak and clear out your closed throat chakra by saying your truth, speaking your mind, or understanding that somebody didn't receive it and you allowed that to continue, that inappropriate contact, not setting proper boundaries, there seems to be a little bit of a block through there that then leads to other issues. So if we look at the root issue, we're really looking at the mentality in regards to who you are, how you speak, how you communicate, how you get what you're rightfully deserving of getting, how you do that with other people when they're unwilling to give to you what is rightfully yours, and also having a better understanding intuitively about who you are and what you authentically want. I think that sometimes there's a little bit of a disengagement there between like reality and what you think things should be, okay? And intuitively, I feel an increase here with the right side of your brain. So you may be feeling more of a pull toward, I don't want to say meditation because that isn't always really getting us to where we need to be. But the communication in intuitive intelligence, psychic, mediumistically, empathically, that's all the right side of the brain. So the more you sort of tune in over there and spend time, the more I think you're going to start realizing that there are a couple areas in your life where your thinking is a bit off about what you authentically want to have or where you belong. Okay, and that helps. So it's really all about the mind.
I like that one. Caitlin is wondering if her husband Chris and wondering if my husband Chris and I will still continue to be married or will we separate?
Well, you know, a lot of people ask me these types of questions, and I want to explain this. You have free will, so I can give destiny charted information and give a guarantee when something is going to happen, but when it comes to situations like love, it's up to you guys whether you stay together or not. I can tell you the highest likelihood of what the dynamics are going to look like, but that's all I can really do, because either one of you could go against, you know, any information. So she just wants to know if they're going to stay together. You know, what was it?
Yeah.
I feel a wall here from him. I feel a resistance, and I don't know that he's really looking to invest in this relationship. I also feel that inside you're done. I feel that what needs to be happening with this relationship at this point is a confrontation on who we really are and where we stand. And if he's walled off and he's not really invested in making that change, even if he gives you lip service and says that he is, if you don't see follow through, if you don't see, you know, a growth mindset or therapy or game plan, or, you know, we're not just talking about making one change and then it falling apart 4 months later. We're talking about consistency in character patterns. If you're not seeing that, then you already have your answers. I think it's because of some of that behavior that you are also feeling done. And when you start to feel done, there's almost like a wandering, like you start to wonder who else you could be or who else you could be with or what else you could be doing with your life. So there is a sense of you wanting to go out and explore, is the grass greener on the other side? And I think that ultimately we have a little bit of personality conflict here. I'm not seeing a ton of compatibility, and I'm not seeing a soulmate contract. So I'm not really sure why there was a coming together here. Maybe it was more traditional desires, like to have a house or kids, or, you know, kind of live within mainstream dynamics of what we thought we were supposed to do with our lives, but not really having that the meat on the bones that are required to make it long term. And so I think that needs to be examined, and from there you can answer the question whether or not you're going to be together or not. You know, I can say this: I don't think that he's trying to leave necessarily, but I do think that you're getting walled out. So it's kind of the same thing.
Grave Skaz said thank you.
You're
and
welcome.
The Silly Rabbit 89 says that the Scorpio reading is spot on already.
Oh, good.
So that one.
Does that make sense to you over there in the corner? We got a Scorpio here in the house tonight. All right. Glad to hear it. You guys keep me posted over the week.
Okay. Very good. Jean asks, is Keith B my soulmate / twin flame?
You know, I sense some things here that feel like a good connection, but I also sense a little bit of manipulation. And when that comes in, I sometimes wonder if one person is pushing an agenda to make it look like there is a lot more connection than what there authentically is. And so what I'm sensing here is that there's some positivity in the relationship. I think there's a great transfer of information and communication that creates a sense of, I would say, comfort, but also almost like a friendship, or like, you know, kind of a high level energy. And I feel there's some, you know, passion there. But I do also wonder if there's something kind of brewing, you know, under the surface that's a little bit of a darker energy, and that may cause for manipulation in the emotional sense, emotional manipulation in order to keep and hold you there. Yeah. So just make sure you're not doing that. And then, you know, I was feeling more like it might be coming from the other way. I don't believe in twin flames. I've never seen it. I have no proof of it. Spirit's never shown it to me. I have no, I just don't think it exists. But soulmates do. And finding a soulmate contract, because you get a small handful of them over the course of your life, picking the one that can function in the day-to-day is the key. And that would sort of feel like that twin flame connection. Do I think that this person is it? I think it's really debatable because I do sense instability there. Okay, so any flags that you might get that seem to be patterned in this person being available and unavailable, I would keep a close eye on that.
Okay, A Black says, I have a question about my son. Will he ever find peace within? And his initials are CB.
CB?
Mm-hmm.
I feel sometimes like, you know, he doesn't want it. And until somebody wants that, they're really not going to achieve it. I was saying earlier on one of the horoscopes, I think something about saying that you want something, but then not putting in the work tells the universe that you don't want that something. And this is the issue that we have here. I do feel eventually, yes, you know, eventually we all get there. But I think that there is a real battle here to not take on good advice, to not do the self-work, to not get beyond the ego and come from a more authentic place. This is a fear-based person. This is a person that feels they need to control circumstances or manipulate. This person is habitual. And so we might also see escapist tendencies or avoidance issues and bad habits there. And I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done. You know, I also think that it's important that you pull back your energy and don't feed it with that sort of negative mentality that, you know, this person is wounded or can't find their way or doesn't have peace and, oh, woe is this situation. You know, try to make sure that every time you think on him, regardless of his circumstances, you visualize him in that place. Happy, peaceful, calm, in control, connected to God. Just visualize that and don't allow anything else to come into your head. This can help to turn the tide.
Very good. Cherie asks, I've been wanting to open my own business and I've done a few jobs making shirts and decals. Okay. Should I pursue it and start my own business?
Not so much. You know, I feel like if you're doing this, I think that you may want to look at it as though it's like a hobby. And I think if you're, okay, so here's a better way to say this. Okay, sure. And I would do it in such a way where it's like, this is my side hustle. You know, this is something I feel I really enjoy and it keeps me going. So there are multiple gains from this. I feel you being connected to it also in a way that is almost like you have a sense of meditation or connected, you know, being connected in a trance-like way to the right side of your brain. So it's also possible that this is nourishing for your spirit, quite literally. But I don't know that I'm seeing a ton of profit coming off of it. And even when there is, I don't know that I'm seeing a lot of consistency. So it kind of reminds me of, you know, coming out with something great and beautiful, and then like Walmart coming out and doing the same identical thing, almost, you know, but not nearly as cool, but like a rip-off for like a penny, and then everybody just goes over there to get it cheaper, you know, because people don't know value. There seems to be How's that for an analysis on America here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there just seems to be a cheaper market, and I think that if you're going to do it, it needs to be for pleasure. But I did also see somebody else wanting to come in and help with it, and I saw that there's also another potential business that you're looking at. And so I almost feel like it's a yes to business, but this may not be the end-all, be-all. And one more thing with that, there does seem to be some kind of a t-shirt that sells incredibly well. And so I thought at one point I was looking at like angel wings, but then at another point did she say something about sequins or something?
No.
Okay. So I don't know if I'm looking at like sequins, or if we were almost talking about something where we were looking at like activism work, like Black Lives Matter or something like this. I see you tapping into a market that does seem to sort of explode, but it's kind of in that one key area. Okay, so if you find you're not making a lot of profit off of some, I would cut them on loose and focus there. Okay, let that expand.
It's good advice. A Black says thank you.
You're welcome.
Mariah asks, is there negative energy around me?
Well, there's negative energy around all of us. It's our job to stave that off so that we don't absorb it. I feel a negative person around you in particular, and I feel more masculine energy coming from this person. I feel that they're kind of dominant in the way that they think they know a lot, but don't. And I think that this individual sort of pushes their agenda on others, spews their negativity. There's a ton of ego-driven communication with others. And when you're near this individual, it's almost like even if they're not speaking, or there's distance, like enough personal space, it still seems to radiate and permeate. And I think that what you need to do is to understand that cleansing is key. We have a free mini class up called Cleansing here on YouTube. We have another class on the Ivy League Psychic Academy website called Hauntings, Clearings, and Detachments that can teach you how to properly cleanse. And I think that you need to be more mindful on maintenance there. Simple maintenance, like putting Epsom salt in the bottom of your shower, things like this, okay? Before you approach someone like that, which can be hard. I mean, if they're really close in your space, this person feels really close in your space, you have to sort of put a protective bubble. The empathic awareness class can help you with those tools. You have to put like a wall around you and things like this. But ultimately, yeah, and I do feel it brewing into some paranormal activity.
Cherie said thank you.
You're welcome.
Jennifer asks, will my son and daughter-in-law have another child? And their names are Corey and Lacey.
I think that they will. I feel a little time off or some kind of a back and forth situation going on with that. But I do see a baby boy, and I do see a very chatty girl. So there seems to be some options here. They can make a liar out of me at any time. They could switch up gender or birth order. But sometimes when I see two, we have a potential set of twins. These obviously being fraternal twins, if they choose to come together as those genders in that way. But I think yes. And there seems to be a 2-year period where they're like working on this or allowing room for this. And I keep seeing fall. So I would not be surprised, in the autumn sometime, hearing about this. And I think that it's all about the baby's choice on coming through. We like to have all our ducks in a row, and we like to do it our own way, but we don't realize that has nothing to do with it. Literally, a baby, as did you and me and we all, right, signed a contract. Before we came to Earth, we picked our parents, then we picked when. That's all we have to work with. We can't force anything. So I think learning to work with the baby's rhythm is the smartest thing to do for a while. Yeah. Looks good.
Very good. Okay.
They can come through as individuals, or one could choose to come through and the other one to stay back or anything like that. But I feel a quiet personality with him and an extroverted personality with her. Very cute.
That's a good one.
Yeah, brown hair, blue eyes.
Boy, like me.
Like you, cute.
Yes. Probably lesbian. So, yes. Mary Kay asks, or says, I will have a work transition with my boss retiring and a new one coming in. Will this be good for me? And she works at a university whose initials are SIUE.
Well, I feel you looking at retirement, which can mean literally, maybe you're looking at your retirement, or literally you might be wondering if you want to sort of leave that space and go over, somewhere else and retire that, leave it to rest. So I do have examination of that going on now and into the future over the course of the next, I'd say 4 to 6 months, with a lot of talk about that at the 7th month out. But I don't necessarily feel like it's coming from a bad place. I actually feel that there's very little contact. I don't know if it's between you and this new boss, literally. I see this boss sort of coming through sometimes and there being some conversation, but for the most part, not a ton. And I think that what we're seeing here is your ability to sort of focus on what, God bless you, what you like about the job, and making a decision to just sort of be distant and not have too much interaction. So it's also about your approach. And it reminds me of this great post that I like to put up sometimes that says, you teach people how to love you and treat you, based on how you treat yourself and how you love yourself. And I think that as long as you're coming from that really authentic place where you're loving yourself, you're being honest about where you are, where you want to be, and you don't even need to really say anything. It's sort of like, this is what I expect to get in return from the universe around me. And I think that you're going to get that. I think it's fine.
Jennifer said, thank you so much. She lost the last 4 boys, and there's no medical reason for the losses. So,
right. Well, that's why I bring it up. And for legal reasons, I don't want to say I see somebody having a series of miscarriages, but they are not allowing it up for the timing of these children. And I constantly have clients that are dealing with this. You can't force a baby to come through. You have 4 miscarriages. It's not time. Just relax. Just relax. They have an agenda. Their agenda rarely matches, your agenda. And so, yeah. But again, it's like a 2-year period. They could just let it go for a while.
Okay.
Is that, one more? Okay.
Stephanie, will I ever find the loving and supportive partner I have always wanted in life? And then she asks Bill with question marks. So
is Bill the right person?
Is Bill the right one
for her? Is Bill the right person? Bill has a lot to say, but not a ton to offer, Sometimes when you gotta put it out there like that, it's because there's not a whole lot going on underneath. And I think that Bill probably shouldn't really be marketing himself a ton at this point. But I think that you're getting better at identifying when someone is inconsistent or their energy doesn't match, what they're saying. And I think that what you need to start doing is picking up on those red flags and not putting on rose-colored glasses and saying, oh, well, it's okay. Or, settling for less. You really do settle below you. I would recommend the Reaching the One class up on the website. That's going to break down any obstacles that might be in the way and will show you how to manifest and attract the right partner to you. Because it is lined up for all of us. But in order to allow that person in, we sometimes have to get rid of blocks, toxic habits that are preventing it from happening. So yes, you will, but you do need to do some work on cleaning this up. And I do not feel that he is really the one. I think that he's a good one to study, though. He's kind of a lesson.
And Mary Kay said, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Paul.